Okay, so to start off, here's my hands. So in this video, we are going to do my very first crochet YouTube tutorial. We are going to work on the Fields of Tulips fingerless glove set. I am right-handed. I am using US terminology. I am using Red Heart Super Saver metallic yarn. I will use about half of this skein, so there's about 255 yards in it. So we'll use about half. So to start off, we will turn on our scale. Make sure that it is zeroed out. It is set to grams. We're going to weigh this. These are both of the gloves together. Looks like 62 grams. Let's try. 255 yards divided by 142 grams. Okay, so there are 1.795 yards per 1 gram. And we know that there are 62 grams. So we're going to multiply that times 62. So we have used 111.33 yards of yarn to make these gloves. This is the adult size, so give or take 5 yards, because I see that the scale keeps going back and forth between 62 and 63 grams. So round it up to an even 115 yards of yarn used, and you know how much you need just by weighing it. Use a 6mm crochet hook. This is also for an adult sized glove. If you'd like to make this in a child size, like 3 to 10 years old, you can use a 5mm hook. Same size yarn. We are hoping to obtain gauge. This is my gauge tool. So we are going to start working up the cuff, and in that we are going to have a gauge swatch that is 8 single crochet back loop only across and 7 rows high using a 5mm hook, and it should make a 2 by 2 inch square. So let's dig out that 5mm hook. Look at, there it is, handy dandy. And we will go from there. You can see on my gauge swatch tool, it is 4 inches across the bottom. So that's what we're going to work with. This is how I start my slip knot. I make a loop around my finger, making an X. I use my thumb to hold that X. Pull the loop off. The long strand that's attached to the skein, we're going to take that and push it through that loop from the other side. Grab it and pull. I'm holding that short strand to pull. So now we have a loop using our 5mm hook size. We're going to bring that hoop smaller. So 8 single crochet back loop only means that we are going to chain 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to move our chain this direction. And in the second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, we're going to single crochet 1. And then in each chain across, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So there's our first row. We're going to chain 1, turn our work. So there's the back side. we're going to single crochet in the first stitch in the back loop only. So normally we would go under 2 stitches, but we are going to skip the first one and go through the back. So there's our back loop. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so there's 2 rows, chain 1, turn, and we're going to do this until there are 7 rows total. This is the 3rd row. Working on the 4th row. All right, working on the 5th row. Sixth row. And 7th row. We're going to stretch it out just slightly so you can see it's a nice little square. And we're going to put it down. And then we're going to put our nice little swatch on it. And let's see. Now if it's off by 1/4 of an inch, it's not actually going to hurt anybody. So I try to stay within 1/4 inch with my gauge swatches. So it looks like we are right there, 2 1/4-ish. And then we flip the other direction. And same thing. 2 and what is that, 1/8? Something like that. So we are right there on gauge. So that tells you that we've met gauge. Now I'm just going to finish this off. Now we have a nice little square to show it. And for those who are curious, this is what the texture looks like up close. You see we have this ribbing effect. And if you look closely, you can tell our row counts. This is the 1st row. And then this ridge is the back side of the 2nd row. Then down in here we have the little V's. That's the 3rd row. And the ridge right there is the 4th row. And then the little V's again is the 5th row. The ridge is the 6th row. And then the V's on top again are the 7th row. Creates this nice little textured look to it. It also has a decent stretch to it, both directions. And this will be our cuff. So, since we are making the adult size, we've met gauge with the 5mm for the child size. If you move up to the hook size for the adult size, so the 6mm here, your gauge should easily transition. So it will grow accordingly if you just go up a hook size. So we are going to do the same thing. We're going to start off with our slip knot. Insert the hook. We are going to start off by chaining 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, single crochet, and then in each chain across. So you have the second one, the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. Now I try to hide my ends in the rows as I'm working up, so I kind of just bring it up in the stitch and then crochet right on over it. So there is our first row. Chain 1, turn. In that very first stitch, we're going to single crochet back loop only. And make sure that we're crocheting over that end. There we go. Alright, so single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the same thing, we're going to bring that stitch, or that, sorry, we're going to bring that end up through the stitch to the second row. So there's row 2, up close and personal. Now chain 1, turn. We're just going to keep working over top of that end until it disappears. So this is row 3, and we are going to keep going in the single crochet back loop only rows until we hit row 24. So we are on row 3. Kind of doing some trial and error while we're sitting here working on this. So bear with me, give me any kind of suggestions that you may have, what you prefer in these tutorial videos. We just finished up with row 5. So you can kind of see the V's and then the ridge for the second row, the V's, the ridge for the 4th row, and the V's again for the 5th row. Right now we're at 14 rows. Okay, so right now we are at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 rows, so 4 more to go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4. So right here we have 24 rows, which is where we need to stop. So here's my fancy little tape measure. So without stretching or anything, it should be around 7.5 inches, which is about the standard width of a woman's wrist, you know. So now that we have this here, so you're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to fold it in half, bringing our first chain up to where we are working, and we're going to slip stitch across. We're going to go through the first chain and through the first stitch of that last row that we worked, and we're going to slip stitch straight through both layers. Then we're going to insert a hook into the next chain and into the back loop of the next stitch, and then slip stitch together. And we're going to do this the whole way across. So since there are 9 stitches across, we are going to do this a total of 9 times. So that's the third. This is the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, and the ninth. And we're going to go through both stitches of that last stitch just to secure it together. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to flip this cuff inside out so that the seam is on the inside of the cuff. So this is where we are. So we've chained 1. Now we are going to half double crochet in each row end across. So because we did 24 rows, there should be 24 half double crochets the whole way around. So 1, 2. You can see you're going to do 1 on the ridge row, and then 1 in between the ridges is your next row. So there's 4 half double crochet. Eight double crochet. $12 double crochet. 16 half double crochet. 20 half double crochet. And 24 half double crochet. So once you get to the end, you are going to slip stitch into that chain 1, not the stitch. So not into the half double crochet stitch up here, but into the chain 1 starting it. You're just going to join them together with a slip stitch. And you're going to chain 1 again. Alright, and then you are going to work into the third loop of your half double crochet. So we're going to bring it up nice and close. So this, come on, is your first loop. This is your second loop. So your front and your back loops are the first and second. And then behind that back loop is the third loop. Alright, so then you're going to do half double crochet in each third loop the whole way around. So you will have 24 half double crochet in the third loop. There's the 24th. And then again, you are going to slip stitch into that chain 1 to join. Then you are going to chain 1, and you are going to single crochet in each third loop across. So you will have 24 single crochet in the third loop. And then you are going to slip stitch to join in the first single crochet, not in the chain 1. That's our first difference. So these instructions include the cuff in the first 3 rows of our gloves. These rows, 1 through 12 of the cuff and then 1 through 3 of the glove body, are the same for both the left and the right glove. From here, we will split off working on the right glove first, and then we will start over with these instructions, row 1 to 24, and then 1 to 3 before moving on to the left glove. To start our right glove, we are going to chain 2. We are going to double crochet in the same space. And we're going to count this as a V-stitch. It's just 2 double crochets in the same space. Then we are going to skip 1 stitch and 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So we have 2 V's, and we are going to repeat this 4 times. So there will be a total of 5 V stitches. So 2, skip a stitch, 3, skip a stitch, 4, skip a stitch, 5. So we have the chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch, skip 1, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, skip 1, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, skip 1, and then again and again to have a total of 5. Then we are going to double crochet 3 increase after skipping a stitch. So skip 1, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Then we're going to skip 1 again and do the same thing. 3 double crochets in the next stitch. So this is what they look like. Just 3 double crochets. So then we are going to skip a stitch, 2 double crochets in the next. And we are going to repeat that 5 times. So there's the first, skip 1, 2 double crochet in the next. There's the second, skip 1, 2 double crochet in the next. There's the third, skip 1, 2 in the next. There's the fourth, skip 1, 2 in the next. There's 5. We are going to join into or around that first chain 2. Just like that. So, the next row, we're going to chain 2. We're going to double crochet in that same space. And we're going to keep doing this. The instructions will be skip the next 2 double crochet and work in between the stitches of the V. So there's in between right here. So you're skipping this one and working in between. Oops. So there's 1 V stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we are into that double crochet 3 together. So you're going to skip 1, 2 and work in between the first and second of the 3 to make another. And then you're going to skip the next 2, so the second and third, to work in between those 2 double crochet 3 togethers, or 3 increase. And you are going to do double crochet 4 increase. So there will be 3 or 4 double crochets in this one space. So there's that to show you. And then you're going to skip 2 again and work between the third, or the second and the third double crochets to do your next V. And then you will keep doing that across, working in between the V stitches. So. And then you're going to again join around that first chain. So now we're starting row 6. So chain 2, double crochet into the same space again. And then you're going to have a total of 6 V stitches. There's the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then you're going to work in between, because this is our double crochet 4 increase, you're going to work between these 2 stitches and then between these 2 stitches. And these are going to be double crochet 3 increase in both of these. So this shows you what this section is supposed to look like. And then you're going to just V-stitch across in between those V stitches. And then join around that first chain, like before. So now we will start row 7. And for this row, there are no increases. So we will finish off with 30 stitches around. So we're just going to basically do a whole bunch of these V stitches. V's in the existing V's. And then once we get to these double crochet 3 increases, it's the same thing as it was before. We're going to work between the first and second. Just a V stitch. Just 2 double crochet increase. Then we're going to skip the 2 and work in between stitches. So there's a V. And then we're going to skip 2 stitches and work in between stitches. So between the second and the third double crochet. And then just continue on around, V-stitch in a V-stitch. So when you get to the end, you're going to join around that chain 2, just like you were before. All right, row 8 is gonna be fairly simple. We are just V-stitching in each V-stitch the whole way around. Again, 30 stitches at the end of the row. No increases at all. and then join around your original chain 2. So this will be your glove at its widest point. This is where your thumb, you know, is going to be coming through. In row 9, we are going to be working V-stitches to a certain point and then skipping a group of them to create that thumb hole, but also narrow down the top of it. So we're going to chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch, and then do 4 more V-stitches. So there's the first, second, third, fourth. Then we're going to skip 4 of the V-stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to do a V-stitch in the 5th. So there it is. And that creates the thumb hole, you can kind of see. So then we will do 5 more V-stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then join around that chain 2. So there's to show you how the row, like this is the widest point, and then from here on out it'll only be this wide. So row 10, 11, and 12 are all the same. You are only going to V-stitch in each V-stitch around. There will be 22 stitches total, which means that there will be 11 V-stitches around for the next 3 rows. So there's row 10, starting row 11. Alright, starting row 12. And then for row 13, we are going to chain 1 and single crochet in each stitch around. So this is what it looks like before. So chain 1 and in each stitch, not in between stitches, at the top of each stitch. And you're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and then finish off. So when you have your loop, you're going to cut it and then bring that string the whole way through the loop and pull. And then you're going to weave in your ends just to give yourself a nice finished look. So here's what it looks like as a whole. Before you put it on, it's going to measure roughly 8 inches long, 5 inches across at the widest point, and about 3 3/4 inches wide across the wrist or the cuff. So I will put it on for you just to show you. This is the right glove. So ignore my end that's in here. This is what it looks like. Gives your thumb a nice little area. It's cute and decorative. This is the Fields of Tulips Fingerless Glove Set. It matches the Fields of Tulips messy bun hat or beanie that's in my Ravelry store. There is a PDF version of that hat, and it matches this set where there will also be a PDF version of this there as well. Now we're going to move on to the left glove. So we're going to repeat the cuff, rows 1 through 24, in the first 3 rows of the glove body before moving on to the left glove. We're going to start off with our slip knot. Insert the hook. We are going to start off by chaining 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, single crochet, and then in each chain across. So you have the second one, the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. Now I try to hide my ends in the rows as I'm working up, so I kind of just bring it up in the stitch and then crochet right on over it. So there is our first row. Chain 1, turn. In that very first stitch, we're going to single crochet back loop only. And make sure that we're crocheting over that end. Single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then same thing, we're going to bring that end up through the stitch to the second row. So there's row 2, up close and personal. Now chain 1, turn. We're just going to keep working over top of that end until it disappears. So this is row 3, and we are going to keep going in the single crochet back loop only rows until we hit row 24. So we are on row 3. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4. So right here we have 24 rows, which is where we need to stop. So now that we have this here, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to fold it in half, bringing our first chain up to where we are working, and we're going to slip stitch across. We're going to go through the first chain and through the first stitch of that last row that we worked, and we're going to slip stitch straight through both layers. Then we're going to insert a hook into the next chain and into the back loop of the next stitch, and then slip stitch together. And we're going to do this the whole way across. So since there are 9 stitches across, we are going to do this a total of 9 times. So that's the 3rd. This is the 4th. The 5th. The 6th. The 7th. The 8th. And the 9th. And we're going to go through both stitches of that last stitch just to secure it together. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to flip this cuff inside out so that the seam is on the inside of the cuff. So this is where we are. So we've chained 1. Now we are going to half double crochet in each row end across. So because we did 24 rows, there should be 24 half double crochets the whole way around. So 1, 2. You can see you're going to do 1 on the ridge row, and then 1 in between the ridges is your next row. So there's 4 half double crochet. Eight double crochet. $12 double crochet. 16 half double crochet. 20 half double crochet. And 24 half double crochet. So once you get to the end, you are going to slip stitch into that chain 1, not the stitch. So not into the half double crochet stitch up here, but into the chain 1 starting it. You're just going to join them together with a slip stitch. And you're going to chain 1 again. All right. And then you are going to work into the 3rd loop of your half double crochet. So we're going to bring it up nice and close. So this is your first loop. This is your second loop. So your front and your back loops are the first and second. And then behind that back loop is the 3rd loop. So then you're going to do half double crochet in each 3rd loop the whole way around. So you will have 24 half double crochet in the 3rd loop. There's the 24th. And then again, you are going to slip stitch into that chain 1 to join. Then you are going to chain 1, and you are going to single crochet in each 3rd loop across. So you will have 24 single crochet in the 3rd loop. and then you are going to slip stitch to join in the first single crochet, not in the chain one. That's our first difference. So these instructions include the cuff in the first 3 rows of our gloves. So now that we have done up our left hand wrist cuff and first 3 rows of the glove body, we move on to row 4, which basically on the right glove, our seam is along this edge, and we got over here and we started increasing. So for the left glove, we are actually going to increase along our seam, if that makes sense. So just to give you a heads up. So chain 2, 2 double crochet in the same stitch. So there's the first, and there's the second in the same stitch. This is going to create basically the double crochet 3 increase. Then we are going to skip a stitch and double crochet 2 into the next, and we're going to do this the whole way around until the last stitch. So there will be 10 of these V stitches. V stitches, and then in the last stitch it'll be 1 other double crochet 3 increase. So skip a stitch and then 3 double crochet in the same stitch. So then you're going to skip the last stitch and you're going to join around that first chain 2, just like that. So now we chain 2, and we are going to double crochet 1 into the same stitch. It's not even in the same stitch. So this is, we chained around the chain 2. We're going to double crochet into that space between each double crochet 3 increase. So it'll look like that. Then we will skip 2, so 1, 2, and V-stitch in between the stitches. And you're going to do that the entire way around until you get back to the beginning. So in row 4 there were 26 stitches, and here in row 5 there will be 28 stitches. So we are putting a V into between the first and second stitches of that double crochet 3 to increase, and then we're going to skip those 2 and add 2 double crochet into that same space in between them, and then join around the chain 2. So that shows that section. So now we will chain 2, and now we will double crochet 2 into the same space as that join to create another double crochet 3 increase, and then V-stitch in every V-stitch around. Alright, so we're back around. So we're going to add that double crochet 3 increase in between the stitches of that last V-stitch. And then join around the chain 2. So now we are starting row 7. Row 7 and 8 are going to be the same. We are going to chain 2 and double crochet into the same space. And then you're going to skip the first and second and work in between the second and third stitches of that increase, making a V-stitch. And then V-stitch around. So we will have 30 stitches at the end of this row, no increases at all. So then, between the first and second stitches of that last double crochet 3 increase, I'm gonna do another V, and then join around the chain 2. And then do it again for row 8. Just V-stitch in each V-stitch the whole way around, again with 30 stitches. Alright, and then join around the chain 2. So that's the end of our row 8. As we start row 9, we are going to slip stitch into the next 4 stitches, and then between the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in between these stitches. Then we're going to chain 2, double crochet, crochet into the same stitch, and then we are going to do 10 V-stitches around. And 10. So to show you, we will be skipping the rest of this and joining around that first chain 2 we did. And we've just created our thumb hole. So for rows 10 through 12, we will have 22 stitches around. We are V-stitching in the V-stitches from the previous row. So there should be 11 of them in each of the next 3 rows. There's the end of row 10. Starting row 11. Finishing row 11. Starting row 12. Alright, finishing row 12. Then for the last row, we chain 1 and single crochet in each stitch across. So there will be 22 single crochet around. And then join into that first single crochet. Finish off your yarn. Pull that string all the way on through and pull it tight. And then weave in your ends. And now you have a left and a right fingerless glove. You can see that there's a little bit more of a stretch to the right one since I did try it on, as opposed to the left one, which I didn't try on yet. But I will do it here on camera and I will show you. So this is what it looks like. I'll put the other one on too. So there you go. Just to show you what they look like. They cover most of the finger, but not all of it. Just enough to kind of keep you have access to your fingertips if you need them, but they're going to do their job to keep your fingers a little bit more warm. And they're pretty, you know? So be sure to check out my Ravelry store. I have 50 designs on there. Find the matching hat pattern, find the PDF pattern to these gloves if you'd like to. Remember, this is the Fields of Tulips fingerless glove set. They match the Fields of Tulips messy bun or beanie. And otherwise, any questions, concerns, or anything, please leave them in the comments. Definitely leave me any kind of suggestions or recommendations if you have any. If you think there's a way for me to improve this video, you know, just leave them in the comments. Help me out, guys. This is the first one I've done. I'd love to do more. I have about 10 designs in the wings that I am looking to publish here in January, because I tend to do a pattern dump in January and then just trickle things throughout the year, but I would like to transition a lot of those over to YouTube as well. So otherwise, if you are feeling froggy, like this video, subscribe to my channel, push that notification bell. I know I just recently got over 100 subscribers, and I'd love to get to 200 and then keep going from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.